If you're enjoying this podcast, explore the Calm Edge Survival Series, Practical Survival Guides by Steve Barker, published by Books Central. Built for pressure, it helps you stay composed, think clearly, and act effectively in outdoor, urban, and emergency situations. Find the book on Amazon or through the Books Central website. When people think about survival, they often picture fire, water, or getting rescued. But in a real emergency, one of the first things that will decide how well you do is shelter. Good shelter protects you from wind, rain, sun, cold, insects, and exhaustion. It helps you conserve energy, stay dry, and think clearly. In this episode, we're focusing on practical survival shelter tips that can make a major difference whether you're stranded in the woods, dealing with bad weather, or trying to make it through a rough night outdoors. The first rule is simple: use what's already there before you build from scratch. Natural shelter is often faster, safer, and more efficient than trying to create something elaborate. Look for rock overhangs, fallen trees, dense evergreen cover, or a dry depression that offers wind protection. The goal is not comfort first. The goal is to reduce exposure. Always check for hazards like falling branches, flooding, loose rocks, or signs of animal activity before settling in. A shelter that looks convenient but puts you in danger is not a good shelter at all. Next, think about the ground beneath you. A lot of heat loss happens through contact with cold, wet earth, so insulation from the ground is just as important as a roof over your head. If you have a tarp, poncho, emergency blanket, or even clothing you can spare, use it to create a barrier between you and the ground. Pine boughs, dry leaves, grass, bark, and other natural materials can work well as bedding. Try to build a thick layer if you can. Even a simple shelter becomes much more effective when you're not lying directly on cold soil or damp leaves. Another key tip is to match your shelter to the weather and your energy level. In mild conditions, a lean-to or debris shelter may be enough to block wind and shed rain. In colder weather, a smaller shelter is usually better because it traps body heat more efficiently. In hot climates, your priority changes. Shade and airflow matter more than insulation. A shelter that works in one environment can be a mistake in another, so always think about the conditions before you start building. Also, don't waste all your daylight and energy making a perfect structure when a simple, functional shelter would do the job. Finally, location matters as much as construction. Set up your shelter close enough to water to be practical, but not so close that you risk flooding or insect trouble. Avoid low ground where cold air settles at night, and stay out of obvious danger zones like dry creek beds, unstable slopes, or exposed ridgelines during storms. If possible, choose a spot that gives you visibility, access to resources, and enough cover to stay protected without becoming trapped. Shelter is not just about staying warm. It's about creating a secure base that helps you recover, plan, and make better decisions. At the end of the day, the best survival shelter is the one that keeps you alive with the least amount of risk and effort. You do not need a perfect build. You need smart choices, solid placement, and enough protection to get through the next few hours safely. Master these survival shelter tips, and you'll be far better prepared to handle whatever the outdoors throws at you.